The next full moon that is apex on Saturday, August 9th at 3:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So technically Friday night, but we'll call it Saturday, early Saturday morning, is in the sign of Capricorn. And if you're confused, like, wait a minute, it's everybody's saying it's in Aquarius. No, that is because they're using Western astrology, which is an incomplete lens, only focused on the three lower densities of our reality. It does not capture the celestial cycles as it is affixed to the equinoxes, the lower cycles of the Earth, which is important. We do need to pay attention to that, but we are missing the celestial cycles, essentially using a clock with only the minute hand and without knowing what hour it is. So when you are looking at the visible sky, we can see that the luminaries are not only 23 degrees behind what tropical is saying, but also that the zodiac are all uneven. So you can see around here they're different sizes because the constellations are different sizes. And we also include our friend Ophiuchus, the 13th sign, in this specific lens. So in this particular lunation, this is even more precise than Vedic, which is more accurate than tropical. But Vedic still uses an even zodiac, and it doesn't include Ophiuchus, right? So typically with a lunation, either the new moon or the full moon, the new moon is when they are conjunct, that they're on top of each other. And the full moon is when they are opposite each other. So typically they're in sister signs. But this is where this specific lens is even more precise because it's not always sister signs. So we've got the moon in Capricorn, which is cardinal Earth, and the sun just barely transgressing into Leo, which is fixed fire. Leo season starts on the 6th, so 3 days prior to this lunation, the full moon, the apex of the lunar cycle. The moon itself is a magnet that pulls things to the surface for us. It helps us to become aware of patterns. This is why people go crazy on the full moon, because if they're not aware of this, even if they are aware of it, honestly, but especially if they're not aware of it and they're operating under the illusion of separation, all sorts of crazy stuff can happen to you in that state of being. But when you are aware of this happening, it's happening for you, okay? I know it doesn't feel like that sometimes, but that is what is happening, okay? So things are being brought to the surface. And as you can see from the geometry of this particular lunation, there's some pretty special stuff going on, okay? We've got some pretty rare alignments creating a castle, which is really just a combination of a mystic rectangle and a grand trine, okay? So it's like tension being supported. Okay, so tension is what creates change. We need tension and resistance and challenges in order to grow. Otherwise, we just float off into space and nothing actually ever happens. Okay, so resilience is built through challenges and tension. That is what motivates change and growth. So this particular lunation is very powerful for transformation. And I don't ever like to sensationalize things, as you know, if you're a consumer of my content. I am an advocate for pragmatic or practical spirituality in a way that is helpful. Like not every full moon is a portal kind of idea, but I feel like this one actually is. Okay, so like not to sensationalize, but like it's kind of a big deal. Like I would be paying attention to the energies and going within, noticing what's coming up in particular. So let's get into the specifics of all of the energies at play with this particular full moon. Starting off with the opposition, as always with a full moon, the moon opposing the sun. Okay, so tension, push-pull between the masculine and the feminine, illumination and hiding kind of energy, like the cave vacuum energy, okay? So the sun, just freshly in Leo, is illuminating this energy of self-expression, so like heart-led play, pleasure, leadership, confidence, drama, a flair for charisma, putting yourself out there in a very charismatic, playful type of way. And the Capricorn moon is this emotionally grounded, practical, strategic kind of energy, okay? The moon in Capricorn wants you to get your shit together, okay? It wants you to have a plan. It's a kind of a no-nonsense kind of emotional pulling from us to get our ducks in a row, okay? Get your poop in a group, as I like to say, okay? So specifically this lunation, just on its own, the opposition between the sun and the moon is calling us to balance these self-expression, like the radiant authenticity and grounded confidence that comes with the sun in the early degrees of Leo with the grounded accountability of the moon in Capricorn. Okay, so like, are you taking care of business? Are you doing the work to manage your emotions, to ground yourself in a state of stability and structure and predictability so that you can express yourself fully in coherence with the baseline of being grounded in your emotions, essentially, okay? The South Node moving its way through Leo at this time also is bringing to the surface in the collective the shadow aspects of Leo. So this is like the drama triangle, being the rescuer, being the victim, being the persecutor, like performative spirituality, performative leadership, doing things for the likes, is superficiality in that kind of way. Also, only attending to things that bring you pleasure, so disembodiment, addictions, things like that, because it feels good, without doing the work to make sure that you are also secure, because it's both, right? Like, it's not like just play and have fun all the time. Like, there is work to do still, okay? It's everything has an opposite counterpart, okay? So that's the gist of just the lunation on its own, okay? And then we can see here that we've got a couple of other oppositions. So we've got this one going through here with the sun and the moon. And then we also have an opposition between Mercury in retrograde in Cancer and Pluto in retrograde in Capricorn. So these are sister signs, okay? Pluto is the ego killer, the generational planet that brings an end to things, okay? And with it being in retrograde, it's working its way back through the early degrees of Capricorn to help us dismantle the old ways, the old paradigm, the hustle and the grind, the over-focus on the masculine doing energy, all these systems that have us putting our authority outside of ourselves. That is what Pluto is doing in Capricorn over the next 18 years. And not opposing or putting tension on Mercury in retrograde. So Mercury is our communication, our transmission, how we think, how we talk. And that being in Cancer and in retrograde, right? So it internalize a pause energy to reconsider, to have you go back into your own shell, which is kind of coincidental because it's in Cancer, which is the crab, right? So like this Mercury retrograde really is about taking yourself and your self-care more seriously. Like, how can you be your own mother? How can you take care of yourself? How can you show up for yourself in that sort of way? Thinking about yourself in a more tender and nurturing type of way, essentially, and how this is pushing up against the old systems that are telling you that you need to put your own needs aside and take care of everybody else outside of you, that you have to sacrifice your entire life to do something that is soulless and like is killing you on an energetic level so that you have money to live, and then you can retire in the last like eighth of your life. You can be free, but you're not really free, especially if you're a freaking millennial or later. Like, the odds of actually being able to retire under this old paradigm are slim to nil for most of the people, okay? We've been fed a lie and it is falling apart. So we're having this push-pull, okay, between these old systems that we were told are the only way, falling apart, being shown to not be worth the time and energy that we've put into it, and this desire to take care of yourself and your emotional needs and be your own protector, like be, the fierce mother taking care of their child, which is you, okay? Like, how can you be both of those roles for yourself? And they are also forming a T-square. We can't see it on this chart because the birth chart generator from Mastering the Zodiac doesn't make aspects to Chiron or the nodes or like the midpoint, the geometry of the chart. If you want to access that, you're going to have to buy the Prometheus software. So you can do that on masteringthezodiac.com. And I'm not affiliated with them. This is not a plug. I'm just saying that if you want that, that's where you have to get it. Okay. It's not a need for me at this point. So I just make use of the free chart generator and reference it with other tropical, because the aspects are the same in tropical. But anyways, the point is that there is a T-square with Chiron as the apex. So we've got this tension between Mercury retrograde and Pluto retrograde happening, that push-pull. And then they're both squaring, which is like a motivating tension. Chiron, which has recently gone retrograde, and it will be retrograde for like 6 months. Okay, so the next 6 months are going to be about your wounds around receiving, coming to the surface, spirituality, intangibility, the void, the feminine essence, the mutable water, right? So like the flexible emotions that come with that, the spaciness, the intangibility, all of that within the realm. Like any wounding around all of that is basically going to be intensified with this energy, right? And with this T-square, basically this Pisces energy, like the new paradigm, the feminine, magical, intuitive, heart-centered way of being, that the North Node just finished its way through it in the collective. Like any of the wounds that you have around embodying that energy are going to be illuminated with this particular lunation. Okay, so remember, your triggers are your treasures. Anything that's coming to the surface right now is intentional for you to bring awareness to it and decide whether you're going to believe the old stories or whether you're going to be confident and secure in the fact that you are the curator of your reality. You have every right to live a magical existence, and you can do that by taking your power back from the external and putting it within you. Okay, so that's the T-square. This video is probably gonna be like 30 minutes long. There's so much going on. Okay, so that's the T-square. Okay, and then we also have another opposition here. So we've got this red line going this way, which is Saturn and Neptune, both in retrograde, conjunct. They're still basically right on top of each other. This energy is going to be continuing until February of 2026. Okay, this period of like the Saturn is the builder and Neptune is the dissolver. Okay, like this is the opposite energies in the social planets. So they are both in retrograde. They're both in Pisces. So this is basically the dismantling of these old paradigms, allowing you. The veil is very thin and will be continued to be very thin with this energy going on here on a collective level, because that's what the social planets do. Okay, so generationally we have a long period of time with the veil being very thin, so that we can have access to what lies beyond it. We can access our downloads. We can access our spiritual gifts, allow ourselves the space for these things to come through, and like take that shit seriously. Like that's what Saturn is all about, is building structures and having a plan and the discipline, the authoritarian kind of energy to take your spirituality seriously. If you do not have a meditative practice, freaking do it. What are you waiting for? Okay. And if this is challenging to you, check out the new series of videos that I've been making on the topic of DIY enlightenment, where I am sharing all the bits and pieces of how I went from a freaking neurotic train wreck with a million addictions to a happy, healthy, balanced, magical human who meditates every day because I friggin' want to, not because I have to. Okay, so check out that video series. Or if you would like some personalized assistance with this is the work I do with my one-on-one clients. So if you would like to be a private student of mine, this is not for this casual seeker. It is for the true adept who is committed to changing their life and the paradigm through which they are viewing the world. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, hit me up on whatever platform you're viewing this through. Check out the link either in the comments or in my bio for more information, and let's connect. But I digress. This energy is opposing Mars in Virgo, okay? So Mars is how we do, how we be. Virgo is like the organizer. It's kind of an anomaly because it's an earth sign, but it's ruled by Mercury, okay? So it's all about structures in a way that optimize, okay? So it's an earth sign, so it's similar to Capricorn in the organization in the physical world, but this is more about changing things for the better, like improvement, practical optimization. It is about your health, your body. It can also, like on the converse, be about analysis paralysis, over analyzing, spending too much time in the mind, perfectionism, that kind of energy. Okay, so we have this desire with Mars and Virgo to optimize, to come up with a system. You might be feeling motivated to get your butt back in the gym or to adopt a new movement routine or a new nutrition protocol. All these things are really helpful when it comes to enlightenment as well. Taking care of your physical vessel, moving the body, your synovial fluid is like nectar, okay? So these things are important. And with Mars and Virgo, you might be feeling a need to do that, okay? And this is pushing directly against all of this really spacey energy that is going on in Pisces, okay? So you could feel a push-pull between like, I want to do this, but like, I don't know how kind of energy, okay? And again, this is where my one-on work comes in handy. Or if you're not in a position to invest in yourself in that way at this point, ChatGPT can also have utility with this. But I want to caution you here that ChatGPT is also programmed to only agree with you all of the time. So there is potential for spiritual psychosis, especially with all of this energy. And the fact that ChatGPT will just reinforce everything that you say, no matter if it is a good idea or not. Okay, this is where the human touch of mentorship really comes in handy. Okay, so we're going to have this kind of push-pull going on here. And then this is forming the basis, this axis between this opposition with Mars and Saturn and Neptune, and then Mercury and Pluto, is forming the oppositional axis that is making up the mystic rectangle. Okay, so we've got that going on here. And then there's also a grand trine happening, okay, here. And then that is making the castle formation overall, with only if we had an element in Scorpio here, then this would create a Merkaba. Okay, so this is kind of the missing link, like spoiler alert. The missing link in this lunation is Scorpio energy, which is deep water, death and rebirth. Surrender to your emotions, okay? Surrender to the depths of your emotions. Do not stunt your feelings. That would be my biggest piece of advice when it comes to this lunation, is to really feel your feels. Do not escape. Do not numb yourself. Embrace the depths of your emotions. And by doing this, you're going to activate all the power within this formation, the sacred geometry that is forming in the chart here, okay? So let's break this down piece by piece, okay? So the castle is a grand trine, which is like harmonious energy. So I like how Mastering the Zodiac color codes these, because you can tell it. I mean, it's not as black and white as good and bad, but tension versus support, right? Tension in the red, support in the blue. So we can see which kind of aspects or geometric patterns are more supportive and harmonious, and which cause a bit more tension in the chart, okay? So essentially a mystic rectangle is like tension that is supported by trines and sextiles. Okay, so that's the core of the castle formation, is tension between these four players that we've just discussed. And then mutual support via trines and sextiles between them all. Okay, so the opposing forces are creating tension, but then they're all working together to create support in the form of the mystic rectangle. And then the grand trine is just supportive energy. So trines are always supportive. And in this case, it works out that they're all in earth signs. So we've got all three modalities of the earth energies represented in the trine supporting it. And then all together, that creates more sextiles for the castle arrangement. Okay, so it gives us both friction, but also the flow and the space necessary to allow that friction to be a benefit or an advantage. And basically, it's a sacred container that can hold this transformation without collapsing it, because it's both, right? It's like the tension to help us to grow, and the support that we can fall back in, because we can't just have tension and growth all of the time. We need to recess back into support in order to give it the space to be born. So support-wise, we've got this grand trine, okay? So we've got Pluto in Capricorn, Mars in Virgo, Uranus in Taurus. So this is giving material upgrades. It's giving tangible momentum, grounded power in the physical world. This is the floor of the castle, okay? The foundation. It's strong, it's stable, it is capable of carrying the weight, that earth energy, all three modalities, cardinal, mutable, fixed, all working together to support our transformation through this lunation. So basically, this energy is giving you the ability to build something real. It might not look flashy or appear right away, but it is meant to last. Slow and steady builds the castle. Kind of energy, okay? So that's the trine. And then the mystic rectangle, where we've got Mercury opposing Pluto, and then Saturn, Neptune opposing Mars. So Mercury and Pluto is like mental excavation, right? Like emotional power dynamics, this push-pull between the external old paradigm and the new way of taking care of yourself. And then we've got the tension here between Mars and Saturn and Neptune, which is basically that tension between doing and dissolving, right? Like being in the physical world and like putting things into place, the magic and the mundane, and the ultimate dissolving of everything in the like the far end of the spiritual realm of what, like, this is material and spiritual basically when you're looking at this, the axis of Pisces and Virgo. Okay, so it's like taking the spiritual and the material and putting it together in the middle. Okay. So and then we've got the sextiles and trines around them that connect this tension together, basically weaving the inner conflict into creative potential. So if you don't crumble under the tension, Allow yourself the space to go within, understand your power as the curator of your experience, that everything is happening for you. This tension that is coming up can lead to creative breakthroughs. It can lead to new ventures coming through, or like a crazy idea, or like an inspiration to do something in the world that is based on a more heart-centered way of being. So basically, the oppositions serve as the pressure points, and the soft aspects are the integration passages, or like the integration routes. And so don't avoid the tension. Like this full moon might make you feel a bit crazy, honestly. And like, especially if you're somebody who has a potential or like a habit of numbing yourself, like that could be very real. So I would recommend trying to stay sober as much as you can, even helpful allies in whatever way they are appearing to you. I would avoid that. I would try to be as sober as possible during this lunation, so that you're not adding to this murkiness and disillusion kind of energy that comes with this sort of tension, and all the retrograde energy as well. Okay, so putting this all together, essentially the castle formation, this configuration involving the energies of Pluto, so like power, action with Mars, innovation with Uranus, discernment with Mercury and retrograde, and then disillusionment and devotion also with this energy, like faith. With this castle formation all together is wrapping this all up in an energetic architecture that is saying like you're safe, like you have the ability to do it. Okay, you can transmute this, you can build from this. The tension is not going to kill you, but it is going to destroy what isn't meant to move forward with you into the new world, okay? So anything that has fallen apart in your life right now, let that shit go. Do not fight to hold on to anything right now. Anything that is irritating you or causing problems or conflicts in your life right now, I know not everything that it can be just like immediately let go of, but like, can you change your perspective on the things that you can't let go of, right? Let go of whatever you can. Anything like, you know, family members or situations, like money-making situations that are supporting your livelihood right now, okay, you got to look at cost and benefit of everything. Some things you have to hang on to, but you can change your perspective of it in that case, okay? So it's basically, this energy is like death and rebirth. It's like the collapse of the old way of being and the formation of the new at the same time. Okay, it's essentially a structured recalibration moment. You are being supported as you upgrade. Okay, you are always supported, even when really terrible things happen. You're always supported. Sometimes really bad things happen in order to make way for really good things. We are not guaranteed a life of ease and pleasure. Okay, everything operates in polarity. You are, no matter what kind of life you are living, you are going to have just as much horrific, terrible stuff happen to you. It's all about how you view that stuff, okay? And that is really coming to a head with this particular lunation. So ultimately, I feel like with these energies, it's going to be a test of how much nervous system work you've been doing, okay? Like, how regulated are you? If you are dysregulated, if your body is poisoned and you are fear-mongered and you are still putting all of your attention outside of yourself, you are likely to feel like you are losing your mind. Some crazy stuff might happen, like really bad stuff might happen in your world, regardless of what perspective or how regulated you are, right? And I mean really bad in a way that like, the way that your brain views it is bad, but ultimately, remember, there is no bad or good, okay? If you have been doing the work to regulate your nervous system, this is going to be an opportunity for you to really see what is worth hanging on to and what is not, okay? What we can release and send to the moon via alchemical integration and dissolution, okay? Send that shit to the moon, as the fourth way would teach you. Don't crumble under it, okay? Be mindful of other people in your life right now, because regardless of whether they believe in this shit, the energies are hitting them just the same, okay? So there's a huge potential for like a lot of, I would say, chaos with this sort of lunation, okay? But don't let that scare you. Okay? So really, like I said as well, with this castle formation, the missing link to create that Merkaba 6-pointed star is Scorpio energy. So this is the key, okay? So water. Get yourself into a body of water. Ground yourself. With any lunation, grounding yourself is a good idea. idea, especially with the full moons, because they are meant to bring things to the surface for us. But in this case, especially if you are existing in the northern hemisphere and you have access to a natural body of water, like I am blessed to, get your butt in that water, okay? Or if you don't have access to one that you can get in physically, get near it, okay? Because where water meets land, it reduces negative ions off us. It helps us in a massive way, grounding, okay? So get yourself into a natural body of water. I would also, because there's a lot of mental energy with this lunation, a lot of introspective mental energy. You could be feeling really cloudy. You could be having a lot of push-pull energy about like, I want to do this, but I don't know how, okay? Like journal that shit. Brain dump that shit. Don't worry about what it looks like. Just sit down and write, okay? Sit down and let the hand and the pen move. I suggest you do this by hand also because your hand can't move as fast as your brain does, okay? So sit down and write. Allow yourself to, that was a big part of my spiritual awakening was automatic writing and like brain dumping because I didn't know how to feel things. I didn't know how to express things. So it was a way for my emotional body to override my brain. Okay. So I would highly recommend if you don't have a journaling practice to do that. Also identifying what needs to be transmuted. Okay. What's ready? What are you ready to leave behind? What just doesn't fit anymore? And newsflash, these are the things that are like bothering you right now. Okay. These are the things, or those intuitive hits that you're like, maybe I should stop smoking weed every day. Right. These sorts of things, they keep coming into your awareness. It's probably time to let that shit go, okay? So what needs to be transmuted? Don't worry if you're not feeling clear. That is kind of the nature of this, a bit of murky energy as far as your mental processes are concerned. So don't worry if you don't have a clear plan at this point. I would say the point of these energies is to release what isn't serving you when it comes to all of this so that you can move forward with the next new moon in a couple weeks, setting the intentions on how to move forward now that you've cleared the space. Full moon release, new moon, set the intentions. So yeah, that's about all I have to say on this lunation. I would say, please let me know how these energies are affecting you. And if you like this sort of content, I would love to hear from you in the comments. I would love it if you shared this video with somebody who you think would benefit from it, engage with it in every way that you can so the algorithm knows that this is the sort of content that other people should see. Once again, I want to invite you to consider working with me one-on-one if you would like a private mentorship experience of how to integrate all of these energies, or if you want to connect with other seekers who are viewing the world through this lens. I have an open invite to my free Discord server where you can come and connect with other cosmic black sheep. So that's it for this one. If you're still listening to this transmission, thank you for supporting me with your ears and eyes and hearts, and I will see you in the next one.